To remain updated with the latest business news, click on the bell icon.
This is the Microsoft Surface Pro X. And I'll tell you why I said it's been a while, because this device officially launched sometime in the end of 2019. Then people said a lot of things about it in 2020, and then in 2021 it got a refresh. But this has come to India this week. In fact, it's come to the sets of Tech Today, first day, first show. So I have a couple of questions that I want to ask Microsoft. Well, Microsoft, we're going to leave that to the end of this conversation. Well, our initial impressions, as always, Microsoft leaves no stone unturned when it comes to build quality. Well, as soon as you set it up, it looks like any other premium laptop, ultra next-gen hybrid 2-in-1 laptop PC. This one's expensive and it has a few nifty hacks that we loved about this device. But why is it different from its other siblings? The Surface Pro 8, the Pro 7 before that, or the Go series? That's because it runs on an ARM chip. No, it has nothing to do with your ARM, but it is a custom chip that Microsoft has made with Qualcomm. Similar to what Apple has been doing with its M1 or A14 or A15 chips. I love the way that they have this hidden compartment in the keyboard, which is magnetic the minute you plug it down. The Microsoft Slim Pen 2, which has quite some innovative features with it and charges in this dock as soon as you place it back there. Like other Surface devices, it's got a fantastic display. This one in particular is a 13-inch Pixel Sense display with a 2880 by 1920 resolution. That's around 267 ppi, an aspect ratio of 3:2. And the memory on this one is either 8 gigs or 16 GB of LPDDR4 RAM. You get a Microsoft SQ1 or an SQ2 processor that I told you about earlier. Now, how does a 2-in-1 hybrid like this really come into its own and really take on the MacBooks and whatnot? Well, that's when you can actually pluck it out, and it gives me that nice notification, and then leave the keyboard behind if you want the Surface Slim Pen, which is quite tiny compared to the Apple Pencil. And then you have a tablet, a 13-inch tablet. It's quite light. That's kind of interesting. And while the edges could have been, well, maybe a little more rounded, and the bezels are much lesser than the Pro 8 or the Pro 7 series, but now the issues that you have with an ARM chip are something I want to address. An ARM chip like the one that they have in this usually has a lot of compatibility issues. So the manufacturer really has to work with some of the top applications. If you want to use the Adobe suite, Lightroom, Photoshop, Premiere Pro, those kinds of applications, then it depends on the Microsofts and the Apples and the Googles of the world if they've integrated and worked with these companies to give you an optimized version of that software. So then that's when this becomes not the ideal performance device. Also, what an ARM chip really does is gives you better battery. Microsoft says this one gives you around 15 hours. We've not tested it yet, but it looks about all right in terms of the battery whilst we've been using it on the set live for you. Now, something I hope Apple learns from Microsoft is, although this Magic Keyboard is a work of art and it's really cool, there are issues with the Magic Keyboard. I can't bend it beyond certain angles. With this, I don't have to worry about the type cover keyboard or the signature Pro keyboard. What I have with the tablet is essentially a kickstand, and this comes with every Surface tablet. And once I have this kickstand, this becomes my multimedia consumption device. This is such a small innovation from the Microsoft hardware team, but it makes your life a whole lot easier. Now, when it comes to traditional laptops, and when you're using this in laptop mode, then it should be a lot more lappable, right? If that's a word. When you're comparing it even to an iPad with a Magic Keyboard, or a MacBook, or an HP or Dell laptop, at the end of the day, when they're on your lap, they're heavy, they're clunky, but they are stable. I can't say the same about the Surface Pro X. It's quite wobbly, it's quite shaky, and you don't feel confident when you place it on your lap. That said, if you're using this as your work from home companion, then you'll be using a lot of video calling apps like Zoom and even Microsoft Teams if you have to. And in that case, this becomes quite a nifty and a productive work from home companion because the camera is over here. And I'll tell you how the 5 megapixel camera on the front and the 10 at the back both produce quite stunning images. This is from the selfie camera of the Microsoft Surface Pro X. I'm looking straight at the camera, moving it around. This is the stabilization. This is what the colors are like. More importantly, if you can hear me clearly, this is the source sound on this device. It comes with dual array microphones
and you can compare it right now to, well, my professional microphone.
Well, this is me back on the Tech Today mic. But what I'm trying to tell you is that this is a fantastic camera, but what is it like when it comes to pure performance, pure muscle? That's where this is a bit lacking, especially when you compare it to other rivals in the same price point. Let's come to the price. And the rival in this space becomes the MacBook Pro, not the MacBook Air, but the MacBook Pro, because this model costs around 94,000 rupees for consumers. You add the keyboard, the slim pen, another 25,000 rupees. If this is more than a lakh, basically, no matter what deal you get, you're comparing it to a MacBook Pro or an iPad Pro with a keyboard. Now, in that territory, from the Apple ecosystem, or even a fantastic laptop by HP or another company, look, when you're paying so much money, you want that sort of performance. You want to be able to use this for top Adobe apps, video editing, all sorts of compiling, Photoshop. That's when this becomes a little languid, a little laggy, and that's when you realize that your money is not necessarily well spent. My biggest problem with this is that while this looks good, it feels good, it's very premium, and that Microsoft does right all throughout, it's on Windows 11, something they had promised us would be great on these devices. And frankly, I can't find any issue with it. But if you're paying this sort of money, then you need a lot more features. Because I'm a little confused about who will go for this. Their own Pro 7, Pro 8 are far more capable laptops, and I think they'll be a bit cheaper as well. Or you just go and get another Windows laptop from another third-party manufacturer, or invest in a MacBook. So that's why I'm a little confused about whether to recommend this. But more importantly, let's address the elephant in the room, Microsoft. Firstly, ever since Satya Nadella took over at Microsoft, it's no secret that the company started focusing on the cloud business, cybersecurity, virtual reality, artificial intelligence. The hardware piece was not necessarily right on top of that priority list, and rightly so. But with the Microsoft Activision deal and what's happening in the gaming space, their plans for the metaverse, it's one of the biggest deals ever. And we know how Xbox and Game Pass are doing something which is changing the industry altogether. So this is what tech enthusiasts want. Surface Pro, Surface Studio, Go, Duo, whatever you come up with. All we want is an Xbox with Game Pass, fantastic Microsoft software, and premium hardware at an affordable rate, and it will sell like hotcakes.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.